So, so tell me, bro, all this happened. You made this decision through these means, and you get sentenced to TDCJ. You're going to Texas State Penitentiary.
Yep.
So you come down here. You've already told us you did 8 years or a little bit more. How'd you do your time, man? How'd you spend that time?
Uh, in the beginning, not totally wisely, right?
Right.
And it was because of information, wrong information given you. In county jail, you hear all the stories of, well, what's going to happen, when you get there. As soon as you land, it's heart check time. You
Heart
know,
check.
a heart check. As soon as you land, it's heart check time. You're gonna get your heart checked. I'm like, okay, what's a heart check? They let me know what it is. All right, for sure. So I'm expecting that, and I began to build myself for that. Right? There's all kinds of stories about them. Oh, they're gonna send one at you, and
Yeah.
if he's too easy, they're sending another one at you, and
5-man line, 10-man line, three at one time.
you
Yeah,
you
you
know
can go.
about it. Yeah, you know
Yeah,
about it. And I
goes
know it's
on and
different
on.
in different states, but yeah, in Texas, that's how it goes.
And
You're
it could
fighting.
actually be, it could be any of those. You never really know.
You don't know. So
Yeah.
what was I doing in county jail? I got up to 3,500
Push-ups.
push-ups every other day, right?
Yes.
Clap
Battlefield
push-ups so I
training.
can
Yeah.
strengthen my punching power. And I've been in martial arts since I was
Yeah.
13 years old.
Oh,
You
so
know,
you
I,
had a foundation.
I
Yeah.
already had the foundation, but when you're facing, okay, well, you don't know how many they're gonna send at you. Okay, well, let me prepare myself for this. So
Yeah.
that was my mindset going in. Instead of focusing on, all the things I should have been focusing on right away, I was focused on, all right, this heart check. I was focused on, lineups, people testing
Mhm.
you. That was the what
In a word,
consumed me.
in a word, violence and having to
Violence.
deal with it.
Absolutely.
There was no avoiding it. Yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's what I went into.
Violence, violence is an everyday reality in prison. A lot of people out here on the outside, they've heard about it, but most of them can't really imagine it. Living every single day with threats all around you, like real credible threats. They could pop off and jump off at any time. And not to be dramatic, but you could actually die any day of the week.
Yeah,
Like
I've seen it.
realistically, like realistically,
Like
come on.
realistically. Yeah.
And to live in that state for years and years, sometimes decades. Wow. Welcome to Texas State Penitentiary. Yeah. So that's how you entered this world of violence, where violence is what I like to call the universal language in there. It's the one language that everybody understands and agrees
Understands.
upon, right?
Yep.
Other than that, how'd you adjust? Well, how'd this go?
uh Once I had my first altercation, and
Mm-hmm.
and people saw, for one, because it's not about winning or losing inside of there, right?
Correct.
It's about heart. It's not
Yeah.
about, if you I don't care if you get the brakes beat off of you. You fight hard.
You
They're
got
not
up 3 times. Yeah.
exactly. They're not gonna mess with you. That's just what it
Yeah.
is. But that first altercation, which I didn't get the brakes beat off of me because of my training and my background, but people pretty much left, for the most part, kind of left me alone for the most part, right? So now that that was kind of out the way, I said, okay, now I can start focusing on other things. I was still trying to, at that moment, rid myself of the ideologies,
Mm,
because there was still residue, right?
sure.
So I was trying to rid myself of these religious ideologies that I've been holding on to that led me to prison. And once I finally did, then I began to focus on reading. I've
Yeah.
read 416 books in
Oh, you
my eight
counted them, huh?
years.
Wish I
Yes,
would have counted mine.
man, I'm sure you read thousands. I'm sure
Yeah.
you've read thousands.
Really.
And that's including novels, right? But
Yes.
it was,
Absolutely.
and you can learn a lot from a novel. You know that a lot of these novels,
Absolutely. That's still literature, and they use a
exactly.
lot of fact based stuff in there.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely. I learned so much from novels, but it wasn't until I began to dive into the philosophical books and the
Love
psychological
philosophy.
books and the
Love
scientific
psychology.
books, right?
Yeah.
And began to really kind of hone in. And the first psychology book that I read was by, from cover to cover, was by Carl Jung.
Carl
Um,
Jung. I know him
the
very
book was
well.
called On Jungian Psychology. And
Yes.
that blew my mind, man. I mean, that
Yeah.
book just blew my mind.
He was a student of Sigmund Freud, and then he
Exactly.
rebelled against him and went and done his own thing.
He did his own
Yeah.
thing, man. He did his own thing. And he was on
Yeah.
point in a lot of areas.
Yeah, I like a lot of his stuff, man. It makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So it was reading. Reading is where I kind of just started to hone in on. Let me read. Because prior to prison, believe it or not, I can count on one hand, a couple fingers left to spear, how many books I read from cover to cover. I was always starting things, but I wasn't a finisher.
I don't think I ever did.
I didn't complete
I
much.
think I read my first novel in county jail. For real. And yeah. Real talk.
Yeah, first novel. That was my first novel I read in county jail. I still remember it was Maze Runner, the first one. That was my first novel in county jail.
You always remember that,
right? Yeah, you'll remember the first, man. But yeah, it was the reading, man. It was the reading.
You developed a love of reading, man.
I love it. I began to really just love words. Yeah, I've always loved words. I've always loved playing with words, but yeah, it became
there's two titles. Yeah, there's like two titles that I embrace, right? I'm a word nerd and I'm a bookworm, bro. And I ain't got no problem with that. Absolutely. I embrace those, bro. Like you said, even reading novels and stuff, you're still expanding your vocabulary and learning new stuff. Yeah. Love the world of knowledge, man. Yeah.
Come on, man.
So you started getting into psychology and philosophy and these deeper understandings and stuff, man. Where's this going? Where was it leading you?
That's how I ended up becoming aware of the concept of introspection by reading these things, right? And really, to be honest, okay, let me back up a little. I discovered I wanted to be a writer.
Okay.
Yeah, and I had dreamt up some novel ideas, some movie ideas, and I said, okay, well,
was that before you got the Echo job or after you got the Echo job?
This is long before the Echo job.
Okay.
Yes,
you already knew.
Yes, I knew it exactly. And I'm gonna show you how powerful autosuggestion is, because I use autosuggestion and hone in my craft, and I didn't know where it was going to take me, but I knew it was going to take me somewhere great, right?
Sure. Yeah.
So I was in the process of not wanting to be a just a regular prisoner or inmate that wrote a novel that doesn't know how to write. Grammar sucks. You know, I didn't want to be an author of one of these trash urban novels out there.
You didn't want to be vanilla, no pun intended.
Exactly.
Yeah, I couldn't resist.
So what I did was I had my bro send me a bunch of books on writing, right? Yeah. And one of my favorites was John Truby's The Anatomy of Story, 22 Steps to Becoming a Master Storyteller. But there was a set of thesauruses, 7 of them, in fact, by Becca Puglisi and Angela Ackerman. It's crazy how you remember the names of these books and the authors, right? Becca Puglisi.
You developed retention.
Right. Yeah. Angela Ackerman, they wrote this series of thesauruses, like for writing, for
writers,
for novelists in particular, right? And storytellers. You know, they had the urban settings thesaurus, the rural settings thesaurus, where it gives you all kinds of ideas. They had the emotions thesaurus, the negative character trait, the positive character trait, the occupation thesaurus. But there was one, when I got my hands on it and I opened this book up, it was called the emotional wounds thesaurus.
Oh, right?
Wow. I'm reading through it because I'm working on character development. I'm building a particular character that I want it to be as in-depth of a character as the Game of Thrones characters, right? So I said, this guy has to be more than just a character. I need to know the nuances of him. I need to have not physical characteristics, but psychological, emotional, right?
Yeah.
And during this process, and this book is called A Paper Curtain. I have the manuscript for it too. I wrote that novel. But during the process of building this character, uh, I came across a particular part of the book titled "Dangerous Growing Up in Dangerous Neighborhoods." So that was an emotional wound, right? And let me backtrack just real quick. So psychologists and psychiatrists around the world use this book so that they can better aid their patients. That's
Okay.
how in depth and accurate it is.
So it's like a
Right?
standard and a reference. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Okay.
I'm reading this so I can build this character because I have him growing up in a dangerous neighborhood. At this time, I didn't know that the character I was writing was me. I had no clue that I was
Right?
writing myself. So
Wow.
I'm reading the dangerous neighborhood and everything that it was talking about and the character traits that came with it. I dropped the book down. I had my jaw dropped with it. I had to pick my jaw back up and I said, that's me.
Whew. Yeah.
That
A
that's
moment
me.
of self-realization.
That was my first moment of self-realization right there.
How old were you then?
I was 35. I was still 35.
Okay. Yeah, first,
Yeah.
yeah.
Because
The first
I
year.
hadn't, no, I take that back. I was 36. I was in county for a year. So I was 36. Yeah, I was
Yeah.
36 years old when that happened. And
Did it
that was
prove to be a
that
life-changing
point.
moment?
That was the life-changing, literally, that was that tipping point for that stage of my
Yeah.
life. That was that life-changing moment for me. I said, wow,
Yes.
that's me. Maybe I need to dig deeper into this introspection, and that's what I did.
And that's a great follow-up. Absolutely. Now that I'm aware, like, wow, this is what I look like almost third person outside looking in. I'm finally seeing myself for the first time with like a objective opinion. Yeah, that's
Yep.
deep. You gotta, and then it gets into like, do you like what you see? Do you like who you are? Do you like yourself? You got to ask yourself these things, man, and then try to be honest with yourself. And if there's things you don't like about yourself, well, what are you going to do about it? What do you want to replace them with? What would you rather be? Yeah, the whole chain of thought just takes off, right? I
When
walk these roads too. Yeah.
I know you did, and many of us, most of us do. Now I won't say most of us become aware, self-aware, right? And that's the issue. That's something that needs to be dealt with and handled because without self-awareness, you're going to continue to repeat the same patterns because you don't understand. You have no understanding. You don't understand why you're doing what you're doing, period. And
That's actually very, very accurately put. They continue doing it and not even knowing why they continue doing it or why they're so disappointed in the repeated outcome of it. But yeah,
absolutely.
that actually happens.
Yep.
People stuck in cycles, walking in
That's it.
circles.
Yep.
Yes, sir.
Yes,
So
sir.
how'd you bust through that, bro? That first moment of realization made you want to take it deeper, and you decided you had the willpower and the discipline to pursue it.
Yeah. Yeah. I
A
decided
lot of
then
people
that,
don't.
yeah. Well, see, I've always been, well, I won't say I've always been disciplined, but martial arts
Yeah.
has given me a certain level of discipline, right?
Yeah.
It is a discipline.
It is. That's what I wanted to say. It is a discipline.
It is a discipline,
Yeah.
and at that time hadn't been in martial arts for, I don't know, 25 years, 22 years, 23
Woo!
years, something like that at
So
that
again,
time.
very sturdy foundation. Yeah. Even for
So
discipline. Yeah.
yes, absolutely. So discipline wasn't really an issue. I knew that if I wanted to do something, then I was going to do it.
Okay.
That's been my mindset since I was a teenager. I just didn't have direction. That's what I was missing. I was missing understanding and I was missing direction. The discipline had never really been a problem, but the direction and the understanding had been the issue.
Yeah. Understanding is important, bro. Like I used to always stress the difference between knowledge and understanding to people. You can know all kinds of stuff. You can read whatever you want to read and you know, memorize it word for word, front to back, verbatim. But if you don't actually understand what that stuff means or the dynamics of it or how you can actually apply that to or in your life towards your betterment, then it doesn't really mean anything, bro. You know some words, but that's it. You don't have true understanding. Knowledge and understanding, man, there's a big difference. And what's the quote? What's the quote? Knowledge without understanding is a tragedy.
Come on, man. And the gap between knowledge and understanding is experience. It's taking that knowledge and putting it into action, right? Because you won't truly understand until understanding comes after you act. You know, oh, I did this. Oh, now I understand with that knowledge, right? And then that's what you call wisdom. That's where wisdom comes from,
right? And then
right?
it derives into wisdom, right?
Exactly.